Hey everybody, welcome to the Recoverysupps podcast. Today I'm joined again by my good friend Kyle Hickman, a licensed clinical social worker, where he gives some good recovery advice, and we just catch up and have a good time. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Thank you. Hey Kyle, how you doing, man?
Good, Kyle. How you doing?
Good. Welcome to the Recoverysupps podcast.
Thank you much.
So how's life?
Life's good, man. Busy. Crazy busy, but good.
Busy? How's the biz?
It's been really good since, I can't remember when the last time we did this was.
About a year ago, we had an interview.
Yeah.
And Kyle shared his story then.
Yeah.
And I asked him what he thought of the supplements.
Yep.
And
love the supplements.
Supplements, of course, yeah. Recoverysupps. And a little bit about how he got in recovery and why he started his business.
Correct.
So now, currently, he's a successful entrepreneur.
I would say that it's successful.
Yeah, that's right, everybody.
Yeah.
So, 12 years in recovery?
In July.
In July?
July 29th.
Wow.
12 years. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because in the last episode, you said you were coming up on 11 years.
Yep.
I mean, on your, 11
Yeah, 11 years.
It must have been before July.
Yep.
And I started doing this whole thing, in
it's crazy. I think it's been that long.
March.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about a year doing this.
Yeah, because I think, was I the second or third person you did it with? Because Tyler was right before me.
Yeah, Tyler was number one. Yeah, he's
okay.
OG.
So now it's number two.
So
it's okay. I'll be second to Tyler. That's fine.
Hey, you're my number one supporter on
TikTok. All right. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And if you're not following me on TikTok, I just started posting all these interesting things.
Facts.
Yeah, these facts. Yeah. And
was it you that posted the one about
like 1,000 views?
The brain, like the neurons firing with different things. There was one. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It was an interesting one that said it was actually TikTok or social media that they showed that there was a brain firing with. I can't remember what it was, but it showed the dopamine and stuff like that, the different neurotransmitters, and then you have social media, TikTok or something like that. That hopefully this doesn't get banned on TikTok for me saying this, but it just showed like the neurons firing for dopamine, and then it had something else. I'll have to try to find it. It might have been like talking to someone, like connecting with people or something like that, and it showed like a bunch of different neurons like firing.
And like the pathways in the brain, or
it's crazy. Yeah.
Wow. I'm kind of just jumping into that educational content.
Cool.
So it should be pretty cool.
I love stuff like
and
that.
You go on there and you do your personal stuff.
Yep.
I love to see that.
Yeah.
Just kind of how the kids are doing in your life.
Yeah, that last one was
so interested in that.
I'm very funny. Interested in that. Did you see that last one with my little
boy? What would he say again? What did he say again?
It was.
Oh yeah,
we're dog sitting. Yeah, it wasn't poop.
Oh,
we were dog sitting, and the dog went up to my female dog, and he's like, "Dad, did you see what Mookie did outside to Charlie?" He's like, his back legs were on the ground, and his front legs were like this. His arms were like this, and he was like hugging him on his back, and he was like going like this. He was like riding him like a horse.
I can't believe it. He was so innocent.
Yep. It took everything I had not to bust up laughing until he shut the door on it. It was funny. Yeah. It was funny, man. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Follow Kyle Hickman and see that too.
Follow me, I'll follow you.
Yeah. So Kyle, we got a little bit about your story, what brought you to recovery, and now you're at LCSW.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like, the pinnacle of jobs in recovery is getting to the point of helping someone else.
For sure.
Multiple people all day.
Yeah. No, especially like 12-step based too. Like step 12 is giving back. So that's kind of, I get to do it on a daily basis.
It's your ultimate 12-step.
Yep.
So that's probably an amazing feeling. You're probably just like numb to it at this point.
I don't know about numb.
Well, not numb, but just so inundated and just thriving that you tell me about what you're feeling about business.
I think business-wise, I feel like it's been a pretty good success. Like the first month was a little bit slow, and then immediately after that, like I just had people flooding in trying to get on
Wow.
to see me. Yeah, and I've had a wait list multiple times. Probably see on average anywhere from like 35 to 40 people a week, which
Wow.
is a
1 hour
decent amount.
sessions or?
Yeah,
Oh, so yeah,
yeah.
it's a full-time job.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, some days are more of a struggle, and other days are like pretty good successes. But
Cool. Yeah,
overall,
with everything, right?
yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah. Cool. So are you accepting new patients now or?
Yeah, well, no, not at the moment. I had a wait list of 4 people. I just contacted 3 of those 4. Um, After that 4th one is on, I don't know if I'll accept new patients right now.
Yeah.
Just because there's going to be some changes
Okay.
in the next, like, I don't know, 3 to 4 months, maybe 6 months, something like that. So just kind of like playing it by ear at that. Like, I'll be cutting back here and doing some other things, and
Oh, wonderful.
hopefully hiring on an associate
Oh,
to kind of take over some of those.
big things,
Yeah.
dude. Wow.
Yep. Bigger things, man.
That's so amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Um, so you specialize in addiction counseling.
Yep. Addiction and trauma is my thing.
Okay. Yeah, and those are hand in hand,
Mhm.
right? Because we talked about your story. We talked about kind of what led you to
Yeah.
that path.
Mhm.
And what do you think about, that general theory, which I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure you know, where it's kind of like every step in your life is a logical progression to addiction. Like no one wakes up in the morning
Yeah.
and picks up the bottle, right? Because they want to be a drunk,
No.
right? It's a logical progression stemming all the way back from the childhood and early
Yeah.
experiences.
Adverse childhood experiences,
Yeah.
the ACEs. If you guys don't familiar with that,
Do tell?
yeah, no. So ACEs, it's based off of 10 questions, and each one of these is a form of childhood trauma where there's like physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional neglect, physical neglect, parental substance abuse, parental incarceration. These types of things all considered a adverse childhood experience.
Mm.
So typically, the ACEs, the higher the ACE score, the worse health outcome that you have.
Yeah.
So an ACE score of 7 or higher, there's a more likely chance of someone developing ischemic heart disease, which is the number 1 killer in the United States.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
An
didn't
ACE
know
score
that.
of 4 or more
I thought it was like car accidents or something.
yeah, increases chances of suicidal ideation, depression, stuff like that. So these traumas are
Oh,
heavily
so
correlated.
sorry to interject.
Yeah.
But they've come down and they've come out with a a data a data point that you can collect, and they're called ACEs.
So yeah,
And
the ACE is with the health outcomes
and
for
it's
sure.
like a 7 out of 10, you get a C or above, and you have a percentage of addiction rate or
So there's not necessarily a percentage of addiction rate, but so the study that they did, and I know you know sample sizes, it was a large study. It was 16,500 people.
okay,
So it was a pretty large
that's a
study
lot of
size.
people.
Yeah. 67% of those had at least 1 ACE, a score of 1.
Oh, just everyone
Yeah,
had
and this was actually done. The study was done with affluent white people. So
affluent,
imagine
like native speaking.
no affluent, like higher middle class
Oh,
people,
okay, I don't
rather
get
than
that.
lower SES
Yeah.
status. So if most of the people had 1, imagine like if they went into inner cities and stuff like that, where there's a lot more trauma and a lot more
Yeah.
adversity,
Right.
how much higher that would go. So through that, like once you hit a 4, like there's that higher probability of having like suicidal ideation and depression and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the 7
then-
starts to become like more health outcome, like physical health, like COPD, and then ischemic heart disease. Those types of things ended up becoming
Right. So they've got it down to correlation and probability
pretty much.
because it's such a unknown, and you can't track everyone's life as a society, right?
Nope.
So
And these
that makes sense with these complex things.
they should be more often, and this is something I do in my practice too, is I often give people an ACE quiz
Mm-hmm.
when they first come in, so I get a better idea of where they're at. But a lot of the time, so Nadine Burke was kind of like this. She's the doctor that was over this. I don't know if you want to call it this study, but she did a TED talk, and um, basically was every time someone comes into her clinic that she works at, they give her this because a lot of these the behaviors from traumas can actually what's the word I'm looking for? Replicate like ADHD or anxiety, stuff like that. So that way they know like what they're treating.
Right. That totally makes sense.
Yeah. So, and
gives you quick and dirty umbrella term to go into a.
Yeah. And you're 100% right. Like nobody wants to be, like nobody wakes up and just be like, okay, I'm going to be an addict today.
Right.
Right. There's certain things that lead us into this. And I'm a firm believer that trauma is the gateway to addiction, not alcohol, not nicotine, not weed. Trauma is the gateway to that addiction. So what it is, and you know, I know, like experienced traumas in your life. I've experienced traumas in my life. Me personally, like I try to avoid. I'm either trying to numb from the things that I'm feeling or I'm trying to completely avoid feeling and dealing with these things.
Or you go David Goggins and you run in there and you say whatever you want to say.
So I don't even know who that is. I'm gonna have to go. No, I'm gonna have to go look him up.
Oh, I'll at Damien in the podcast and send it to you. Okay. Damien Goggins is what I call him.
I love that. Good old Damien.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to. That was very educational, and yeah. So, and the fact that there are studies going on about this is really interesting.
For sure.
So, the next kind of concern I have is like we have people here, on the podcast, on that are taking these supplements and are actively seeking the best optimal way to recover. Right?
Yeah.
This is like people that are, they put down the bottle and they are trying to figure out the best way scientifically, spiritually, mentally, way to optimally recover.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of one of the recent brandings that I've done. So what is someone who might be struggling with addiction today, who's just watching a podcast on YouTube?
Yeah.
What is something that could help them right now if they are just watching YouTube to numb themselves, right? Because that's kind of what people do.
Yeah. First thing I would say is find someone that understands and reach out.
Yeah, reach out.
Whether it's getting into therapy, going to meetings, finding a friend who might struggle with similar things, like those types of things is going to be helpful too, for sure. And in reality too, like the tyrosine is going to be helpful too because that dopamine helps with that a little bit. Like when we're, especially when we're getting off, like stimulants, depressants, whatever it is, we're low
on dopamine.
Yeah, and just and low in general, like chemically we're low, right? Dopamine. So finding supplements that can help with that helps boost that dopamine level, increases motivation, increases like our desire to connect with other people, like those types of things.
Right. So those are two tools right there.
Yeah.
In their toolbox right now. That if you're struggling, hey, call whoever you want. Call your mom.
Yeah.
Call. If you don't have a mom, call your sponsor. Call somebody else.
Call your grandma.
Hell, you can call me. I'll put
my phone
number.
I was about to say,
I'll put my phone number in the description.
You really
Please
will.
call me. And of course, these supplements aren't an end all, but that's another thing that will help you.
That's what they say, like medication in general too, like not just supplements.
Mood stabilizers.
Yeah, they say like medications are a Band-Aid. Right? You can't heal a bullet hole with a Band-Aid. Like medication, the supplements, stuff like that, combined with therapy or connecting with other people, gives you a better outcome.
I agree, but I do see long-term medication as for certain things as solutions. because
For sure.
there is no solution other than that, and that's not a good solution. But I do also agree that this is just a band-aid. You take it in the morning and it gets you through the day. You know, while in the future, you'll have different. You know, it's difficult because also behaviors can be band-aids, right? If you sit there and you practice square breathing,
Mm-hmm.
you know what square breathing is?
Yep.
Okay, square breathing is where you just breathe for 4 seconds,
Hold 4
hold for
seconds.
4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds.
Hold for 4 seconds.
Helps with anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, that's kind of a band-aid to deal with your anxiousness in a biological way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so really you just have to get to the root of your trauma,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And how does someone, so I'm trying not to pry here
Okay.
or whatever, but how does someone deal with their trauma? How do you process that?
Well, first, they've got to be open and willing to face the trauma. So I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but there's a metaphor of the buffalo and the cow. Ever?
No, go on.
Yeah. So the buffalo and cow are very similar animals, right? The difference is that the cow, when facing a storm, will turn and run from the storm.
Hmm.
And regardless, no matter what, that storm catches up to the cow. And that cow ends up being exhausted and maybe even suffers death because of the exhaustion, right? Where the buffalo, on the other hand, turns and faces the storm and runs into the storm. Is not afraid of it, realizing that on the other side of that storm, there's going to be peace, going to be comfort,
Yeah.
and then it can actually enjoy the things that the storm provides, like the green grass, the water, those types of things. So we compare this to adversity, to trauma, right? So what we're doing is creating this. With the cows, we're creating this idea that we just keep running from trauma. Whereas we need to be more like the buffalo and face this adversity, because regardless, if we turn and run from it, it's going to catch up to us.
Mm.
Right? And then once we face it and we are able to process through it, then we can enjoy the things that the trauma actually gave us. We become more resilient.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So, two things I heard there out of that metaphor was first bravery,
Mhm.
and then second, there's actually a reward at the end
Yep.
of that negative experience.
Mhm.
Wow, and that makes a lot of sense when someone might be struggling with drug addiction and have some traumatic experiences
Yeah.
due to that. Um, wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty
So
powerful.
in facing the trauma, there's different ways to face the trauma and process through the trauma. There's a lot of modalities out there that can help um, process through it, desensitize it. Myself, I'm trained in what's called brain spotting, and I'm like a basic training in brain spotting. I'm also trained in primarily use what's called accelerated resolution therapy. It's art therapy is what it is.
Mm.
And it's through bilateral stimulation that we start to reprocess this trauma in a visual way. So what happens is this trauma is stored in our minds, and we typically, consciously or subconsciously, we start to see this traumatic event. And then when we see this, we get a physical response from it. Right? So abandonment, right? So if something might trigger that abandonment, and so we get this physical response causing us to feel the same way that we did during that traumatic event.
Mm.
So through the bilateral stimulation, as we reprocess it, you go through and you desensitize it a little bit. You notice the sensations, you clear the sensations, and then there's a step in there where we rewrite what this
Right,
traumatic scene looks
like a
like.
computer.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And so you get a different physical response from
Mm.
it. So the saying with that is, you keep the knowledge, you lose the pain. Because you keep the facts, you just lose the problem, images, sensations, and symptoms. And I've had a lot of success too. I've probably done close to probably 400 sessions since September of 2023. And I think I've had 2 that haven't like fully gone. Yeah.
That sounds like a therapy hack,
It's
like
pretty
just a
trippy, man. Like
biology
I did
hack.
this myself
That's
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact that it works so basically 100%
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing how it works. But in that too, like processing.
Has it ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Have you ever had it happen to you?
Yeah, I did. So when I did my training, I started to go through. Mine was a little bit different because I processed the car accident I got that left me in the scar.
Right.
The emotional part I'd already come to terms with, and I've processed through it. I was lingering with I had physical pain lingering in my body. So I went through and I started to do it. And when I came to this, it's called the director scene where I rewrite it. I like played through all these scenarios. My brain was like going, it was pretty crazy, like going haywire. Like, okay, I could do this. No, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. And I was like, immediately I was like, oh, what if I just put my seatbelt back on? So I put my seatbelt back on and I stood up after the session was over and like my body was all tingly. So the tingly sensation, like if your leg sleeps up or your leg is waking up from being asleep. I see that's emotions. That's emotions like flowing through your body is what it is when doing this.
Wow.
And I was all light and tingly. I was like, oh man, this, like I feel good. I'm like, I don't have any pain in my back. I'm like, I'm pretty skeptical though. Like I wasn't a full believer. The next morning I woke up, no pain. 3 days later, no pain.
Right. So it even cured physical pain?
It released the physical trauma from my body.
You would wake up every morning in physical pain induced from trauma.
For 20 years. 20 years. My knee hit the dashboard. I had surgery on my knee right here. Knee hit the dashboard and it threw my body out of alignment, my hip and everything. So I had knee pain and back pain right here. For 20 years, I carried that with me.
So
it's pretty crazy.
That's how strong the mind is.
Yeah.
Right?
Our brain doesn't want to hold on to this stuff.
No.
It wants to let it go. And there's an even cooler part in there too. So a part in there that's called the bonfire step, it's bonfire. And what you do is you have earlier selves bring up boxes of past scenes that they want to get rid of. And then you pile up these boxes and you get rid of the boxes.
Oh.
So when I did mine,
when you're the actor or the director.
Yeah. So it's shortly after the director scene.
Oh.
So I also when I got my second DUI and possession charges, I wrapped my mom's car around a tree it was around a tree, not a pole. And I was passed out at the time. My wrist hit the dashboard and it left pain in my wrist. And it like gave me this little boxer break. You can see the bump right there.
Can I touch it?
Yeah.
There's a bump there.
And for the longest time, like I had pain in my wrist.
Bone thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a fracture that just stayed.
Yeah.
And after that session, I didn't realize it for a couple months afterwards. I was like, oh my hell, like I don't have any pain in my wrist anymore.
What?
So in that scene, in that part, in that step, my mind threw that in there and let that go too. Dude, it's crazy how it works.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. A lot of people are very skeptical about it, but afterwards, afterwards they're like what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So I'm sure that's just one of the many tools. Yeah. And
that was one session.
Yeah. That you can now do.
Yeah. Well, that was one session that I did that released 2 traumas.
Oh.
I have a lot of people that come in, one and done.
Yeah. Right.
It's pretty crazy.
Right. Dude, that's amazing.
So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to process the trauma. The part that we're afraid about is the unknown. And that's what keeps us stuck in this cycle over and over and over again.
Yeah. Wow. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should kind of call it there, kind of keep it short and sweet.
Love it.
But thank you so much for joining me. It's my pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you and our friendship.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways, have a great night. See you.
Yeah. I'm Kyle Jackson. I kind of started Recoverysupps to help out people in recovery. Right now we're hiring people to give out jobs for people in recovery. And we also make these vitamins and supplements to help you on your journey in recovery. So if you want to find out more, just shoot me an email or a text message, and that would be great. Or you could check out the website with the link in the below to purchase some or whatever you'd like to do. So yeah, thanks for your time today. Have an amazing day. See you.